Matterport and Exterior 3D Models webinar, and this is how to level up your virtual tours with Captured. I've been incredibly excited about this webinar. Michael and I have been kind of working behind the scenes and kind of getting this drummed up. So I'm incredibly excited to present to you today about this. So just a little introduction to myself. My name is Wade Angelo, and I am the Sales and Business Development Manager of Captured. I've been working with Captured now close to 4.5 years. Been working behind the scenes, probably see me doing things in terms of emails, responding and talking about bits and pieces with our business. But I'm incredibly excited today to introduce to you Michal Gula, who is the CEO of CAPTUR3D. Michael, do you want to introduce yourself and just give us a bit of an understanding of where you've come from and all your bits and pieces from where you've come from up until now?
Yeah, thank you very much. It's really nice to be here and to talk to you. I'm from Slovakia. It's from Central Europe. We are basically a reality capturing company. Our main business or core business is usually scan to beam projects. So we digitize all different kinds of buildings and objects, and we produce 3D documentations from them. We do also some AR, VR stuff, and my intention is to also spread the word about the 3D, because as I always say, the 2D is against my religion. So I try to be also an evangelist of the 3D. So that's briefly from me. Wade, we can't hear you.
Thanks for letting us know about that. Sorry about that. I'm incredibly excited to know your skill sets. I've seen some incredible stuff online. So be sure to everyone that after this webinar to check Michael out on LinkedIn. He's been doing some incredible stuff with regards to photogrammetry and all the 3D stuff that he's described already. But yeah, please jump onto LinkedIn, have a look at his profile, look at CAPTUR3D. There's some incredible stuff that he's been doing. So thank you so much.
Sorry if I could jump into that.
Yes.
I just tell you that to follow my personal profile on LinkedIn. For me it's like a curriculum vitae. I'm not doing anything in written. I'm always putting stuff on LinkedIn, so it's like my whole working life there. So I really appreciate it if you follow me there.
Sounds good. Awesome. Thanks for that. Be sure to do that. Okay, so basically what's going to go down today is, again, all around the actual method of being able to take photogrammetry and be able to convert into different types of file formats, especially GLB file formats, which is what we require for our Creator Studio feature to allow this whole secret sauce to happen. But a brief overview of Captured will be presented by myself prior to Michael presenting. As you can see, there's several dot points, but basically he'll be mentioning about how to make a 3D model for the exterior using photogrammetry through reality capture. From there, he'll be describing in detail about how to optimize and export your 3D model from Blender as a GLB file, and also directly from the photogrammetry platform to a GLB file. From there, we'll describe in detail how to combine that 3D model into the actual Matterport tour using Captured's virtual staging engine. And then we'll basically present the final results, which can be seen online. And from there, we'll do questions and answers. I do also want to make sure everyone is aware that Michael has broken this down, and as you can see, into several sections. So what we're encouraging to do is the general kind of Q&A can be left towards the end. But what I'd like you to do is with each part that's presented by Michael is to actually write about those specific questions based on each slide he presents. So you'll see it's broken down from video sections, and this to us just makes it a lot easier for Michael to answer those questions based on each section that he presents to. So I'll start with my end and jump into what Captured's all about. For anyone who is not wondering or knowing what Captured's all about and you've jumped in today for the first time, Captured is an all-in-one 3D virtual tour software and management platform specifically designed for Matterport professionals. And Captured's been around for some time now. We established ourselves back in 2015. Prior to that, we actually were what you technically coined a Matterport service provider. From there, I believe We were essentially one of only a very small handful of individuals who had the MC200, which is the Pro 1 series of camera. And from there, we basically brought ourselves this platform and Capture to service our own customers. And from there, we basically leveraged what we know in this industry to build Captured out to then service other customers who have purchased cameras. So from here, basically, that's what we grew from there. We're servicing thousands of customers globally. We've got some notable customers such as Google, Facebook, and Netflix who have been working alongside us. And we are a sales and development partner with Matterport in terms of selling the actual hardware, be it the Pro 2 now, as well as some of the partnerships we have aligned with Captured and their platform as well. And we have patents on some of the technology, which is exciting. So I've got some pretty cool stuff behind the scenes that have allowed us to do some pretty cool stuff, keeping our secret sauce close to our chest. What Capture currently offers is a massive suite of offerings that you can on-sell to clients or use internally, depending upon what vertical you're attacking. We have the Creator Studio, which is what will be mentioned by Michael in terms of the integration of the 3D asset into the virtual staging space. But virtual staging doesn't necessarily have to be about the 3D assets placed within that, be it rugs or pieces of furniture and things like that. It's really up to you what you use with that 3D engine. We have a branded virtual tour overlay and menu platform as well, which allows you to white label a lot of our tours that presents to your client or internally used yourself. We have custom tags that can be modified accordingly, spatial audio, which is fantastic, gives more context on the landing of positions of where you are in the tour. We have an awesome AR wayfinding that has been just recently released using AR Connect, which is our augmented reality app that's available on both iOS and Android. As you can see, we've got on and on. We've got property, paid website, template creators, white labeled solutions on both the URL as well as the actual branding of the tour as well. We have customized branded floor and site plans, which are our most popular item, but appreciate there are some cool templates that can be used internally within our system, but you can also present and add your own. We have post-production and photo retouching services as well. Branded client portals use, which is basically allowing your clients to log into this account and be able to see their content accordingly, and some detailed analytic reporting and much, much more. So I won't get into too much detail. I'm encouraging you to use the link that was presented at the beginning of this, which is in the chat section. So if you look in the chat section, you'll see a bit.ly link of the Capture trial, which is what I really encourage you to do. For that, you get 30 days of that for a trial. You get up to 75 credits, and you'll see where that works. 1 credit equals 1 USD, and that goes towards all our features and services, as well as access to our AR Connect augmented reality application as described earlier, which is, again, brand spanking new release that's just come up, which is the AR wayfinding, which is everyone's talking about and really excited about. So now that I've got all that out of the way, I would like to present Michael with his presentation. Go for it, mate.
Thank you, Wade. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so you should be able to see my screen. Is it okay?
Yep.
Okay. So let's go. First, I think I will start to brief introduction of what is a photogrammetry, because it's like a prerequisite for all this workflow. So for any one of you who have never met with the photogrammetry, I have a good news for you, because you are using photogrammetry every day. Matterport is basically a photogrammetry, but it's just enhanced with the IR sensors to be able to read the depth of the space around it. But it's basically a photogrammetry. So what it really means, photogrammetry is the process or the way how to turn 2D images of the object into a 3D model. So on this picture, you can see all these small pictures are the positions of the camera from where the picture was taken, and in the middle you can see the constructed 3D model. So what we will be covering today is basic photogrammetry workflow, optimization of the model for captured, exporting it to GLB file, and import and alignment into captured. So in this video, you can see all the camera positions and all the images that were taken for this house project. You can see that there were many aerial photos, some ground photos, and also laser scans. You can identify laser scans like these circles because lasers cannot see underneath, so it always leaves some marks. But all these cameras you can see here around the house, these all are the positions of the camera where I had to go and take a picture. So if you ask how many pictures, as many as you are able to do. Photogrammetry, there is never too small amount of pictures. You always do as many as you can. Of course, it also depends on your computing power and your time, but the more pictures from more angles you take, the prettier the object will be. So now we will go through the photogrammetry workflow in software that is called Reality Capture. It's one of the top softwares to use for this photogrammetry. You can also go through any other software. It will be pretty much very similar. So don't feel to be tied up to Reality Capture. It's that I just have different experience with different softwares, and this is where I ended up because I think it's one of the top. So laser scans are not necessary, but if you have them, it's good to import them first. You can combine. Yeah, this is actually very interesting because not every photogrammetry software allows this. For the Reality Capture allows you to combine laser scans with the images. So as first thing, you try to load all your images, all your laser scans into the project. Then you hit the Align button, and after a while, you will see the pre-reconstructed or aligned project. All these dots you can see on this picture, it's still not a 3D model. It's this is just sorry, I'll rewind it back a bit. Just give me a second. We were here. So this is still a learning process. Okay, it's just a few seconds. So these small dots you can see here, these are time points. This is where the software finds similar places on the images. It makes them as the time points, and it tells them where to be in the 3D model. Now you can see one more time all the cameras and the camera positions. Okay, the alignment looked just fine, so we are happy and we can continue. The next step will be the reconstruction of the model and the meshing process, texturing process, and then optimization. So as first thing, you need to create the reconstruction region because you don't need to reconstruct the whole scene that was captured. You only focus on the things that you want to be included and meshed and reconstructed. So The reconstructed objects looks like this. It still has too many polygons to be showing more nicely. You can see there that it's like 400 millions of polygons there. So as first step, we need to get it under the 40 millions so that the reality capture is showing it as a solid. You will see it, yeah, in the moment. So at this stage, you usually check if the mesh is okay, if you don't see any obvious mistakes, misalignments. If it's everything okay, you just do the texturing at this stage. It's going like this. At first, you have to unwrap the object. You can set basically what resolutions and how many pictures you want it to have on the textures, which will define how nice the texture will look like on the model. So this is textured model, but it's still pretty big. It still has almost 40 million polygons. It has I don't see it now, but it has like 200 4K textures or something like that, which is too many. You wouldn't be probably able to display it even if in other softwares online. So what we will do next is to clean it up a bit. We need to get rid of the things that we don't like or that are just ugly and we don't want to display it on the model. And then we can go to optimization. We want to get the model and the textures as low as possible. There is no like the rule for that. You need to get it down so that you can still see nice objects and nice pictures. I think that Captured supports files under 100 megabytes. So this is like your go-to-go. We are doing the optimization and simplification on several steps. The thing is that the software could be able to go straight down to like 1000 polygons, for example, but you want to check the model during the process because you might find some artifacts, you might find some mistakes which you would like to repair in the process. So now we are at 100K polygons. The model still looks good enough. Texture, just remember, textures can cover a lot of mistakes on the mesh model. So it's not that important that the model should be like very pretty, very neat, very edgy. Textures will cover you. So the next step is to reproject the textures from earlier model. Okay, textures looks fine. We do the reprojection now. You don't have to do the texture process all over again because the previous model was already textured. So the software is able to just reproject the texture. It will save you a lot of time. So at this model, you can see that it's very similar to the 40 million polygons model, and it's much smaller. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that you need to optimize the project. You need to get it as small as possible to be able to work with it in the Captured. So the next steps, or let me ask the Wade if there are any questions or he has some questions, because I forgot to stop
That's
between
okay, mate.
the sections.
That's fine. So there were a couple of questions. So one of the first questions was asking what software are you using? I can see it is Reality Capture that you're using, but do you want to just describe in more detail what Reality Capture can do?
Yeah, well, it's pretty neat solution because it's really fast. It can take almost any data that you put into it. It can swallow laser scans. It can swallow aerial images, ground images. It can work with the videos. The videos will be processed and it will be basically cut into different images, and then the images will be processed. So I think that a lot of professionals are using exactly this software because, as I mentioned before, it's one of the top.
Thank you. And another question was because it doesn't seem someone's mentioned it's not available on Mac OS. Was there any other different types of, maybe you're privy to maybe Pix4D? I believe you mentioned Pix4D before, something that's on Mac that might be also appropriate for an operator.
For Mac, yeah. I don't really know. I'm not using Mac, so it wasn't the thing that I would be like trying to solve. But I think many of different softwares have the ability to process data on the cloud. So I think Pix4D surely has a cloud solution where you just can take images, upload it into their servers. They will do the processing for you, and you have your 3D model.
Awesome. I've got another question from Jamie. He asked, do you need control points to align LiDAR with photogrammetry, or is it automatically in Reality Capture?
It depends how good you do your job when you capture in the field. If you have good workflow, if you have good overlaps and enough images, it should be able to connect it and align it at one step. But of course, nothing is perfect, and you usually end up with few components. Like for example, the usual thing is that it is difficult for photogrammetry software to connect aerial grid photos from the drone with the ground photos from the camera because there is not enough tie points. So in this case, you will need to use control points. So it's basically that you pick some points that you know that are similar. You mark them on one component and on the other component. You run the alignment again, and the software will connect these components into one component.
Awesome. I've got another one from Aksha B asking about control limits for the most optimal polygon export. So is there any
limits?
Yes. So
export limits.
Yeah. So control, it says the optimum polygons for smooth export. Are there any control limits?
Not really. As I said, Captured supports files up to 100 megabytes. I think it's not that you wouldn't be able to cover more, but the streaming and viewing of Matterport would be really difficult if we go above these limits. So your goal is to keep the project and the model with the mesh model and the textures together. It has to be below the 100 megabytes.
Awesome. And that based off Alex Price asking again, being 100 megabytes and only GLB. And that is correct, Alex. So is 100 megabytes up to, and only as a GLB file format at this point in time. Another question I have is from Roshef Sith asking, the laser scans you said from import, this comes from a drone as well as from a Leica Matterport. So the question is this a combination of both drone as well as ground from, say, a Leica camera?
Yeah, the important thing with the laser scans is that the laser scan point cloud, which you will be importing, has to be in ordered format. So it means that the data should contain the information about the positions or where the data was taken from. It basically means that if you use some mobile LiDAR or drone LiDAR, you won't be able to mesh it in this software and to connect it with the photogrammetry.
Awesome. That's all for now. So if you want to continue your presentation, go for it.
Okay. So most of the softwares should have the possibility to export GLB files natively, so you don't have to use another softwares. So in this case, Reality Capture has this function. It's pretty straightforward. You just pick where you want to locate this file and you just hit the export. What you need to check is that you don't want to spread it into more files. You want it to have as one file. So export save mesh by parts should be no. And what you want to do is to include textures. So export textures, yes. Export embedded textures, yes. I'm not sure if Captured also allows you to import not embedded textures as separated files, but in my experience, it's with these files, with GLB files, it's always better to embed textures into one file. So nothing else should be changed. Yeah, that's what I just talked about the embedded textures. You hit OK and you export the GLB file. Another case is when you don't have these options, you usually want to export the OBJ file. OBJ file is the most common file to export 3D objects. So every photogrammetry software certainly has this option. So you export the OBJ file. Again, you don't want to have it split into different parts. You want to have it as one OBJ file. You don't need to embed textures because you will be doing this in another step with the Blender. So you just export OBJ file with textures. And yeah, you're free to go into a Blender. If you don't know it, it's open source free modeling software with unlimited amount of options. So what you do is you load your OBJ file. You can set the transformation, because when you're working with 3D, it sometimes happens that your object ends up in the wrong position. So you load your textures into the viewport. And if you are happy with the model, you can export it. It's pretty straightforward. Just hit export. You have the GLB option there. You just rename it and make sure that you pick the GLB format. Yeah. Now you have the format that you may use in the capture. So maybe I just pause this for a moment and ask Wade if we have any questions.
Yes, mate. Thank you. I had a couple come through. Actually, also kind of more towards what kind of workstation is needed for this kind of speed. So are you able to provide what kind of specs of your computer that you have currently that was running the software?
Yeah, for this kind of speed that you have seen, you just need good video cutting tool. I just made it to speed up, but of course the photogrammetry is quite heavy on your computing power. You need good CPU, you need good RAM, you need good GPU. The more images you want to process, the better computer you need to have. But basically, what is the absolute minimum that you need is NVIDIA graphic card with CUDA cores. Without this, you won't be able to process photogrammetry especially in this software reality capture. But I'm running projects on my 7 years old machine, and I'm running projects also on the newest machines. So it always depends on the time you have to process the project, because even the old machine with enough RAM and memory, hard disk, would be able to process it. It's just that it would take like much more time.
Brilliant. I've got another question asking, can you convert the model into a mesh on Blender if we'd like to amend the model? So can
you mean if you can use a Blender as a photogrammetry software?
It just says, can you convert the model into a mesh on Blender if we'd like to amend?
But it's already a mesh when you import it into Blender, so I'm not really sure where is this going.
He's just come back saying got it. So I think
okay.
Fine, awesome.
No problem.
Also, another question came through from Kevin Cook asking, we can use any app to create the 3D and then export into reality capture.
You don't have to use reality capture. If you use any other software that is processing photogrammetry, you just export it as a GLB file or OBJ file and re-export it in a Blender. But the reality capture is here just because I'm using it daily. But you can use also Pix4D. You can use MeshLab and many others. That there are like 10 different softwares that you can use for processing your images.
It might be worth mentioning to everyone that we have been experimenting with drone videography and converting that into using photogrammetry in that way as well. I believe some of our colleagues have actually done some work prior to this, so there might be something we'll be following up after this webinar in the coming weeks, just to display how we could also modify and change video from a drone and actually convert that video and extract all those images from there and create something as well. So that's something worth mentioning in the coming weeks. I'm also got a question here from Chris Wood asking how large a model can be and deal with using Matterport captured and photogrammetry that can be used in 4G. I'll answer this one. So Chris is asking, I believe, just what is required in terms of allowing this to be seen online. It says it can still be usable on a 4G connection, please. So yes, it can be used on 4G mobile, and I will be presenting a quick link off the back of this once Michael explains exactly how he's entered everything into Captured that you can actually test. So don't worry about that. There will be a link that's sent of the final product inside the chat, which will allow you guys to have a play with it on any device to see how it works. I hope that's answered your question, Chris, for now. I believe that is, yeah, Chris has come back saying thanks, no worries, brilliant. That's it for now, mate. Please continue, go for it.
Okay. So now we are in a captured environment. You want to use this great tool called Creator Studio.
Actually, if you want to just pause, Michael, for a second, I just want to mention.
Yeah.
My apologies.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So just for everyone at home who hasn't used Captured, the idea is that you've created the scan of the home or the dwelling or the area of interest that you want to put into Captured. So please appreciate that you require a Matterport subscription, allowing you to get that particular model. Once you've got that model, you would enter that into Captured. And from here, this is where Michael will show how he's now integrated the 3D model on top of the 3D Matterport tour. So please be aware, you do require an active Matterport subscription and a model itself that can be then entered into Captured. And then from here, you can then open up the Creator Studio that will allow you then to put the layers on top, which is Michael about to display. Go for it, mate.
Okay. So yeah, I had to do the previous model. So on the left side, you have the assets part where you want to load your own GLB file. So you go to custom, you hit upload, and you just drag and drop or just browse for your files. Okay, you pick your GLB file and you move it there. So it will load into Captured and it will add it to your asset library.
And while that's loading, you can also add custom thumbnails to that as well to make it easier to find.
Yeah. Then you just take the asset from the left side and you bring it into a viewport. As you can see, it loaded not not in an optimal way, but you are able to move it, rotate it, and also scale it. So from time to time, it can happen that your model will not be scaled accordingly. It happens when you don't use any control points or you don't have laser scans included in your datasets when creating photogrammetry project. But don't worry, you can scale the project to the size of your Matterport tour. So this is just to showcase you that it's very easy to align it with the Matterport dollhouse view. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter if it fits perfectly, because it's just enough if your mesh model of the exterior is covering the dollhouse view of the Matterport, because you won't be seeing both at one time. So it doesn't really matter if it fits like totally perfectly. But as you can see here, it's more or less fits nicely. Okay, you just hit publish and you're ready to share your project. So the basic idea behind this is when I first saw the Creator Studio from Captured and the ability to load a sofa or a chair, I just asked myself, why not another mesh model? Why the GLB file shouldn't be the exterior of the house? So I tried it, it worked, and that's how the story about this webinar had begun. And now we're here explaining it to you. So that's I think that's all from my side and from the workflow.
Brilliant, Michael. Thank you so much, mate. I'll share my screen now and actually provide the link in a second to everyone that's viewing at home, and we'll answer some more questions. So as you can see, from my side, this is the final product. So as you can see here, it's actually currently viewing from a link has been created by Captured. So this is the exact tour. So you can see now I'm inside the Matterport tour itself, again on a web browser. I'll be passing on the link shortly, but you can see now I'm now looking around the actual internal side of the house itself. You can see I'm moving through the space accordingly. And from here, I can actually then go into the dollhouse. So from here, if I spin out, you'll now see completely on the web browser, I'm able to then rotate accordingly. So I'm doing this live, as you can see, on my web browser. And the idea is you can actually toggle this on and off accordingly. So they appreciate that's the Matterport tour as well. And then you've got the actual GLB file that Michael has created. I'm completely just moving around. So what I'll get you guys to do is, while we're actually now in the chat, I will provide the link. So if you give me a second to put that in now. Yep. Just everyone to know, I've got a question asking about, can we get the link to the recording? While towards the end, there will be Q&A again, but I will be providing the recording through our Captured community group on Facebook, as well as the slide deck that's presented today. I've got one that has all the recording broken down, as well as everything we've discussed. And the recording will be included. But I encourage you guys, if you haven't already joined, please go to Facebook and check out the Captured community group and join there, which the recording will be uploaded by tomorrow, actually. So it will only be a few hours our time, I suppose. Right now, it's what, 4:45 p.m. It will be first thing, probably towards the mid-afternoon tomorrow, to be able to download and play back accordingly. So I've just posted in, if you want to check in the chat link there, the actual URL for this specific tool that's being demonstrated today. Please have a click on that and experiment and have a look at either on a mobile device as well as a desktop. What I'd like to do while we're waiting for Q&A to begin, just in general, I'd like to see if anyone's clicked on that link, had a play, making sure they've just had a bit of a experiment as well. As you can see, I'm going from dollhouse rotation here. I can then go into floor plan. I'll also go back into the view itself and go up to the several levels. I can go back to the floor plan perspective of the tour as well. I can turn the staging on and off accordingly, as you can see. So I'm now can basically zoom out if I want to, which is really, really cool. But Michael, I remember when I first saw this, I'll actually ask you a couple of questions and I'll stop sharing my screen for now. But can I ask, what other kinds of things have you experimented with? I don't know how cheeky I can be by asking this question, but I have noted that you have done things in Captured that is using, I suppose, other maps or other types of things that have come from other platforms rather than directly from a drone or that. Is there any other kind of platforms that people can do to kind of put like street views and things like that into this particular example like you've shown before?
Not sure where are you going with this right now.
Is there any way of being able to, like, rather than doing it directly, is there any kind of repository or things that people can take from their own collections? So for instance, they've done citywide stuff that's their own rather than the drones themselves. Like, is there anything that can be?
Well, yeah, the photogrammetry is nice because you can take images from your computer mouse to whole buildings and whole cities. So what you can basically start with is to try to capture your sofa at your home, try to do the 3D model of this and import it into your Matterport tour as a virtual staging. It's as easy as this.
Awesome. I've also got another question that's come through from an anonymous attendee asking, can we import the Matterport scan file into Captured? Do we need the Matterpack? So I'm not sure if you
no.
No, but do you know how to answer that question?
Go ahead.
No worries. So asking if we need to put the Matterport file into scan. No, you don't. So the idea is that I'm not entirely sure how to answer this with the Matterpack, but no, the Matterpack contains the colorized cloud point data. So in this instance, probably potentially, yes, they might use the colorized cloud point data or the XYZ file that might be able to put into, for instance, for help with alignment. But there's no need for the Matterpack extraction from Matterport. The idea is that you're essentially going from the scan itself, you're then uploading it to Matterport, you're taking the link from Matterport, putting it into Captured, and from there creating the photogrammetry that Michael has displayed today, and then placing that within Creator Studio, and that's all you got. So yeah.
Oh, you meant to use the Matterpack for photogrammetry workflow? Is that what he meant? Or?
Well, the question was, do we need the Matterpack for this exact example? So the idea is a Matterpack that Matterport has, download that, which is for the dwelling itself. Will that help in assisting alignment for the external part?
Not really, because for importing an exterior object into a captured, you don't need the matter pack. I suppose that the question was meant if we need it for processing the photogrammetry, the matter pack, and the answer is also no. It's because the matter pack contains the data that are unordered. It means that the point cloud that you will get from the matter pack is only a bunch of coordinates and RGB numbers of the colors. So it's not, you will be not able to process it with the photogrammetry because the reality capture wouldn't know what to do with it because it's unordered data.
Yeah, that makes sense. Good answer, mate. I have another question from Dawood Shujai. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. The question, can we capture exterior spaces using Matterport camera? I know we can capture 360 images for exterior. So I'll answer that one. There is methods to be able to capture the exterior part of the tour, depending upon the actual camera that is being used. The BLK 360 has the capacity to do so, being any condition, being that it is a camera that is a bit more powerful than the Pro 2. So that is a possibility. The idea is that you can do that, but you wouldn't really get the detail that Michael's presented in terms of being able to place the model on top of the actual Matterport tour. And there's also the Pro 2. I suppose the workaround could be for that is to be able to do that in low light conditions such as sunrise or sunset, very cloudy and overcast days. So you can essentially get the exterior part of that. But from an actual overhead perspective and being able to see in that dollhouse and getting that more detail, it's probably optimal that you are able to go down this route rather than using the camera itself to create that opportunity to happen. So I hope that's answered that question. I've got another question here. Is there a possibility of how the view will look if we are watching from the window of the house, like a VR version? So I'll answer that again. Is there a possibility of how the view will look if we are watching from the window of the house, like a VR version? So I think what they're trying to ask is, yeah, can you see this? I think that's a great question. How do you see that, Michael? What do you think that question means? Maybe that person might want to ask a bit more detail about that, please. I think it was Meet Vagalia. If you want to just maybe elaborate on that more.
Well, if you're looking from the inside of the Matterport tour, you are always watching the imagery from the Matterport. So you are looking at the 360 image. If you turn your staging on, you will see the mesh, and it depends on the alignment. If you align this this model above your dollhouse view, you should be able to see it, but I'm really not sure now. We would have to test it and see it.
Yeah. Just so anyone's aware at home, you can actually, with the virtual staging Creative Studio feature that we've just presented, even though it's for external and in terms of VR, anything that's placed within the tour, for instance, internally, that might be assets such as any kind of asset, can be animated, static, that is inside that space, can be seen in VR. So the idea is that if you're actually landing on that spherical imagery using a MetaQuest 2 through the web browser of our URL that's presented through Captured, you will be able to see those 3D assets actually placed within that space. So if it is unfurnished, hypothetically, and you're placing furniture and items of interest inside that space, the VR out of the box option from Matterport will actually showcase those 3D assets in VR. They are interactive, if that makes sense. You can't click and do things with them, but they are positioned inside the tour, and you'll be able to see that inside those 360 positions as well.
I just think that the question was meant that if you look on my model, if you look outside from the window, you should be able to see like the green areas or the parking space at the end of the project through the window, but you probably won't be seeing in VR because you will be looking at the image, and image is much closer than those objects that are behind. So I think you won't be able to see the OBJ file from the window, from the inside view.
Makes perfect sense, because you're right. When you're landing inside that, it's not something that's free roaming. You're not inside the mesh itself. When you're landing in that tour in VR, you are correct. You are landing inside what is a spherical image, so you'll only see the image itself from that position. So you're right, Michael. Well answered. I've got more questions. They're coming through thick and fast. I've got one saying, can we directly toggle between the interior and exterior views by double clicking on any part? So what I might do is if I will post this link back to that individual who asked that question, Meet.
I think I have the answer for this, because the Matterport tour is working like this. When you click on the mesh, it knows that it's mesh from the dollhouse view, and the Matterport knows where to point you, where to move you. But when there is another mesh covering the dollhouse view, the Matterport doesn't really know that you are clicking on the house. It just doesn't recognize that. So if your whole dollhouse is covered with another mesh, you won't be able to click on the scene, on the mesh, and to move it to interior.
I hope that answered your question. You're on fire, Michael. This is, by the way, for everyone that's tuning in, this is Michael's first webinar, so he's doing really, really well. Thumbs up and big clap emojis if you can put them in. He's doing a fantastic, you're doing an amazing job, mate. Keep it up. I have other questions coming through. There's many, many coming thick and fast.
Go ahead.
Questions from Tori Cowards just asked, which drones do you use? So which drone did you use?
We use Phantom 4 from DJI, but it really doesn't matter. Like, to start with the photogrammetry, you can use any drone that has a camera. Today's drones, almost every drone has 4K camera. To start your experience and your life path with the photogrammetry, it really doesn't matter. Just take anything you are able to get cheap or for free, and just go ahead and start.
Awesome. Well, this is probably more of a cheeky question. I'm not sure if you can answer this, but maybe a smile or a wink. Can we directly import a 3D model from Google Earth?
Directly not. Also, you are more or less not able to, because Google has in its terms and conditions that you cannot use their data for any commercial use, but it is possible. We have done it. We have done it for non-commercial use. You will go through a photogrammetry workflow again. You will use Google Earth Studio, where you can simulate the paths and the video of some object. So you basically want to set the path of the camera to simulate the photogrammetry workflow. So you will do some circles around the building in different altitudes. Then you will get those images, and you run it in a photogrammetry software as you would from a drone footage. It's a little bit more tricky, but it is possible, and we have done it.
There you go. Good answer. All right. What
else? I didn't forget to mention the disclaimer that you are not allowed to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, everything's above board here, right? So what I'll say that Michael can't say is just look around. There's obviously different ways of doing things, but legally, in terms of commercial agreement between platforms, no. But have a look, experiment. That's what we're here today. Experiment with certain things and have a play. That's what it's all about. I'll keep going. There's a couple of other questions that have come through. Please keep going. There's a few more minutes left before the end of the day, or the start of the day, depending upon where you are. Please feel free to ask lots of questions before we finish up. Someone says, so I can't use the 3D model covered from Google Maps. 3D view done by render. So hold on. So I can't use 3D model covered from Google Maps. 3D view done by render doc and Blender. So I'm
yeah,
not sure.
render doc is a software that is pretty much doing what I described. So with this you can get an OBJ file from that is basically gathered from the Google data. You can use it for a non-commercial use. If you want to showcase your own house to your family, or if you have if you are doing the museum for non-commercial use and just to be able to display the possibilities and to showcase what can be done, I think you should be okay to do it. But if you want to sell it as a solution to your partners and to your clients, that probably wouldn't be the best thing to do.
Good answer, mate. I've got one from Andrew. I've got one from Andrew Lowy. He's asked, who stole the flag from the putting green?
That putting green wasn't really used. This is actually the house that we used as our offices for like 10 years. But there was more work with the moving the green than with really putting there.
Yeah, it's actually awesome setup when you look at it there. It builds more context to the space. That's why I love this whole idea of being able to add, the external part, because then I think with it, from that perspective, you're able to see, exactly where you are. I mean, you can technically look up sort of Google Maps and things like that, look up the address, but being able to, some remote locations, being able to incorporate 3D on top of that and be able to see context in space is amazing. Question from another person. This Meet Vagilia is on fire, asking great questions. Can we measure the interior objects? So the answer is yes. So appreciate that the measurement tool is a feature of Matterport. If you look at the link that I've sent, I will copy and paste this again back into the chat. There is a measurement tool that allows you to view to measure. So please have a look at that. Be great to be able to see that. But yes, you can measure the interior, of course, vertical or horizontal coordinate. And technically, in theory, I suppose, Michael, you could use the measurement tool now on the exterior part, couldn't you?
That is a very interesting question, and I don't know how to answer that. We just have to test it. Maybe you could do it right now.
I can. Let's have a go. So I'm just going to share my screen. Here we are in the model. Let's have a look. Loading the model again. So back to the question around the actual measurement tool. I have a feeling that because your specific space, okay, so because in your Matterport tour, it has not been switched on. Oh, there it is, it's OLED, here we go, perfect. Okay, so from here, from the internal perspective, there is the measurement tool that's been switched on, so thank you for that. And the idea is you can then snap to certain areas of interest and be able to kind of draw top and bottom. So I will turn off snapping on this occasion. Can be a bit of a pain in the bum, but losing the magnifying glass there, you can go straight down and be able to measure accordingly. But the idea is we wanted to check the outside, don't we, mate? So let's have a look. We'll go from the dollhouse perspective. Maybe you might even go top down onto floor plan, and we might kind of zoom out a little bit. So what we can do is, if we can keep zooming out, I'm using my finger here. Hopefully I don't push anything. Well, actually, we'll do it from this perspective. So we've got the measurement tool, we go plus, go from here, and we'll go from there. And there you go, look at that. So it tells you it's approximately 15.67 meters. So again, let's have a look at maybe this area here. You can see it's snapping to there, from there to there, which is brilliant. Look at that. And again, I can be more precise if I wanted to. Let's have a look at the dollhouse. Maybe let's measure some of the other parts of it. What do you reckon? So I can just play around here, go plus, and maybe see. Then you can see here what's happening is it's obviously then the magnifying glass is going inside the internal perspective. So what we do is it has its limitations, but you can see it's got some functionality, which is pretty cool.
Great. Thank you very much, Wade, for this. I'm really happy that I learned something from this webinar.
It's okay. There you go. My pleasure. Sharing my screen again and quickly go to the other questions because we are running out of time. Well, there you go. The question is, how accurate are the measurements? So the actual Matterport tour itself, based on the scan it's presented, is up to, I believe, 98.5 or thereabouts in percentile in accuracy, give or take. But appreciate, obviously, you're using the measurement tool based on that to be able to see. It might be, deviate from that by a few percent. But again, if you're using it from the model, being it's nearly the same scale, it should be relatively close to the actual interior and the exterior model, provided that.
Basically, with the clients, if the accuracy is the question and is important, I almost never use Matterport. They declare some accuracy, but you are not in the control of the data, and you can never be sure if it's right or it's not.
Good question. Okay, so I got another one for me. Will CAPTUR3D consider using other formats, classic OBJ, using other formats as classic OBJ for virtual staging? That's a great question, Pavlov. It's something that we're considering, inclusive of FBX files and things like that. The reason why we are incredibly more geared towards the GLB is in terms of compression and the binary side of things. I'm not the technically savvy guy here, so please correct me, because I know you are a very well-to-know person, Pavlov. You've been in the industry for a long time, but we're sticking with with GLB for now, just in terms of its lightweight compression. GLTF is pretty well recognized now. It's kind of got some legs, but eventually, I do believe our team will start to work with the the OBJ files, FBX and things like that. But for now, it's strictly OBJ. But I know the team's working hard to be able to work on other files. Question. Well, this person's on fire. The same person, Meet, again, is asking, can we convert the interior data to DWG file?
All the interior data are from Matterport. So if you need any 3D data from the interior, you have to download the Matterpack. There you usually have a mesh file, you have a point cloud there, you have some ceiling views, I think, and some more files. I don't think that there is a DWG file, but there is like tons of companies that are doing these jobs. Okay. Also, I think that it's also in CAPTUR that you can process this. Yeah.
Correct. So if anyone wants DWG files from the actual tour itself, we have the capacity to do so. So please, as again, if you've signed up, I will then copy and paste the link back here with more details. Let me just copy and post this again into the chat. If you have any more questions, please make sure you actually send them through the Q&A section, please, and not through the chat. It's getting quite confusing now. But there is a link that I'm about to send to you to sign up. But in terms of the DWG files, we can do that as part of a floor plan order if you require it. Just let me quickly copy and paste the link again to sign up to CAPTUR3D to get your 75 free credits towards what we've been discussing today. Let me just post that in again. There it is. There's your link. Do that multiple times so it's easy to be seen. Where else have we got? Wow, they're coming in thick and fast, these questions, mate. I hope you got nothing planned for the rest of the day.
No, that's okay.
No, it's all good. I did letting you know too. Michael's not aware of this. I thought I'd just drop the bombshell as well on him. But last time I checked, about half an hour.
Wait, as you said, this is my first webinar, so I made the room for this.
Yes, that's okay. Good. And so did I. And then everyone's throwing questions, so it's very popular. I didn't mention to you, we have currently 35 participants. I think it maxed about 43. But as of half an hour prior to this starting today, there was 220 registered participants. So this is, I believe,
that's great.
You and I have gone bang, bang. I think this is actually one of the biggest registered webinars to date for CAPTUR3D. So congratulations on that, mate, because you're a big part of that. So well done.
Thanks.
Back to the questions. Here we go. Have you done any experiments with cesium? Cesium. C-E-S-I-U-M. Have you done
Celsium.
Celsium? Yep. Have you done experiments with that?
Very little.
There you go.
I wouldn't say that I can I can tell you anything about it. No, basically none.
Awesome. Okay, I'll answer that. So it's answered live. How many drone stills did you take for this project, and were they from different heights and distances or done randomly?
With these projects, you usually do two different things. You do the grid project, which means that you set your drone app to do automatic flights in different altitudes. For example, for this project, I think that I did one flight in 30 meters and another flight in 50 meters. 30 meters is good for the detail, and 50 meter is good for better alignment, because it has more coverage of the area, and you are able to better control the alignment process. For better mesh and details on the house and the other parts, you will need to do also orbits. So these are usually done with the manual flight. Although I have seen like 2 or 3 apps that are already able to simulate the manual flight, and where you can plan also like vertical flights around the buildings, but I haven't tried it yet. I'm going to, but I haven't tried it yet. So we usually use manual flights around the house, around the buildings, around the objects, and we try to capture as much data as possible.
Awesome. Well answered, mate. This one's, what if we import Matterport data interior through Matterpack plus exterior data, which is the laser scan drone, into reality capture, then to Blender, and then to Captured? Are there any insufficiencies?
Matterpack data will always look like the dollhouse that you are looking at, because they are heavily decimated, so that you are able to see it in the online viewer. I think that with the last update, Matterport came up with the E57 format of the point cloud, where you can have like the full package. I'm not sure, I haven't tried it yet, but usually you won't be able to get as nice data from Matterpack as you are able to produce from photogrammetry. And when I say usually, I mean like never.
I've got another one. This person's on fire, asking lots of questions. How many commercial applications can you think of where we can use these models? Any examples that you can think of off the top of your head, Michael?
Just a disclaimer, this person is not paid for this, okay, guys? Sorry, one more time the question.
Sure. The question was, how many commercial applications can you think of where
okay.
models?
Well, I'm still very surprised that they real estate agents are not hopping on this, because I think this is like the brutal feature for showcasing the whole area and the gardens, and to get more perspective into what they are selling. I'm really surprised that they are not pushing Matterporters to do this.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think anyone with with a drone should get around it and experiment a bit, because I think there's a massive opportunity for that industry, for sure. That's a great answer. I have another one. Well, I lost my track here because it's just coming in thick and fast. Can we use it for as-built mapping in an industrial site like a petroleum site?
You mean the photogrammetry?
Yes, I'd say so.
I suppose so. I suppose so. Yeah. Yeah. Well, actually, it is it is used for this segment also, because well, photogrammetry has this capability to reconstruct the objects and the scene very precisely. It pretty much depends on your experience and your workflow, but you can get pretty nice resolutions with the photogrammetry workflow, like in literally in millimeters. But if you need accuracy and you want to declare it, and you want to be sure that what you reconstructed is as in the field, you always need to use targets and to control your data.
Brilliant. There's maybe one or two more. Just quickly throw them down, guys and girls who are watching. We're about to wrap up because it's now about 15 minutes over, and Michael's probably got to start his day. And
no, not problem. I'm really enjoying this. So
good, mate. Good to hear. Maybe it's one of many that you'll jump on board. No, I think that's it. Actually, one question for us. Any chances? This is for me from our side. Any chances Captured will introduce some coloring options for the scan location circles? Pavel, that's a good question. I haven't heard of any actual requests for that, but feel free to send through to support@captured. That's 3dcaptured.io. Just put into the question there. Generally, what happens is with any kind of requests or features that customers are asking for, if you send an email directly there, our team then put that aside and align it with our development team to see if it can be done, and obviously prioritize accordingly. But it's a great question. Absolutely, we do look at new features that are out and about. This is obviously one of many that will come about from basically Michael's clever, ingenious ways of looking outside the square. We'd be more inclined to probably refine this accordingly. Appreciate now, as Michael has done, is thought outside the box by having this particular external part that would normally be used internally. So there might be functionality now to change within the sub menu to remove or at least modify that button saying staging on when it should be exterior on or something like that. So obviously now it's exploded in terms of what can be used, and thinking outside, we'll have to then most likely change the way this is presented from the, I suppose, from the Creator Studio's perspective, as well as the forward-facing navigational menu as well. Ali's has mentioned, thanks so much. Pretty good and valuable presentation, Michael. So you've got some thumbs up there.
Thank you very much.
In fact, a lot of people have been saying, I'll just say some good comments for you. Pavel, again, thanks you guys. Michael and Wade, this presentation was stunning. How good's that? Just so you know, Pavel, this gentleman, I've seen him around for a very long time. He does some incredible work within Matterport, using mixed reality, augmented and virtual. He's a very well-known individual, and to have him say that about, well, more you than me, is a compliment to you. So well done, sir. So thanks, Pavel, for your comment. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to go through some more.
Pavel is originally from Slovakia, as me. So,
so do you know of him or heard of him or seen him?
Yeah, through LinkedIn. Yeah.
Fantastic. So there you go. It's a small world. That's yeah, awesome. He comments a lot on things, and he's a rock star. And now another one saying, thanks everyone. Michael rocks, mate. This is great. Everyone's thumbs up.
Thank you very much.
Another one, Tori. Thank you very much for an interesting presentation. I think we'll wrap it up there. Just so everyone knows.
Yeah, I just want to jump the one last time. I will be doing probably next week another interesting utility for your virtual staging. I will be trying to import as-built BIM model into your Matterport tour. So we'll see how it will work out.
I'm rubbing my hands very gleefully. I cannot wait to see what you do, my friend. But just reminders, everyone, please feel free to go to our Captured community group through Facebook to be able to see this recording and the slide deck that will be added as a post tomorrow, our time, which is of the next 8 or 9 hours or so. Still got to go to bed and do all those things as well. We've now just posted in the chat to follow Michael on LinkedIn, please. Incredible, mate. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we end the webinar?
It was really great. I'm very, very happy that especially Captured was the first company that welcomed me to a webinar. So I will remember this forever. Thank you very much. You're a great company. You are a great team of people, and I really enjoyed this.
Excellent. Okay, well, for that, we'll say goodbye to everyone from all around the world. Thanks for chiming in, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Goodbye. Ciao.